Okay, good morning, everyone. We're here with Josh Hester of the Dudley Church of God. He's a local pastor. He's been here for how many years?
Actually, Easter Sunday will be our 7th year anniversary.
Okay. And from what I understand, you're the fifth generation minister?
Well, yeah, 5th generation Church of God.
Oh, fifth generation Church of God. Okay, well, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got started and what inspired you and all that stuff.
Well, of course, I'm married. I've got a wife and 2 kids, one on the way, one coming soon in May. My wife's a teacher at one of the local schools here in town, or not in town, but in the area. And, listen, we've been pastoring here for 7 years. We started off, actually, before we came here, we served as the children's pastor at a previous church, and been in and around ministry for my entire life. Of course, my grandfather pastored this church in the mid-70s. But yeah, 5th generation Church of God. We actually traced something kind of interesting, doing some ancestry work. I traced my ancestry back to colonial Virginia.
Wow.
And there's a gentleman there who his name was Sir Thomas Maxwell, and of course during the time before the Declaration of Independence, when the Redcoats were still in charge, he was from the Church of England, and then he converted to the Baptist faith. And the story says that he was preaching one Sunday. The Redcoats come in, dragged him out from behind the pulpit, and threw him in jail.
Wow.
And anyway, Patrick Henry, give me liberty, give me death guy, he represented him as his attorney. He got him out of jail. He was personal friends with future President James Madison, and but eventually moved to Georgia and planted a Baptist church in Georgia. And from what I understand, it's one of the oldest Baptist churches that's continually existed in the state of Georgia.
That's interesting. Well, so I guess that's who inspired you.
Well, I would say he was the one that inspired me. I mean, it was a divine call from the Lord.
Of course.
From my early teen years, I just felt the call of the ministry. Didn't know where it was going to take me. I said I've served as a worship leader. I've worked with youth. I was a children's pastor. Of course, now we're here.
Let's see. But okay. Well, let's see. Tell us. You didn't tell us a lot about your church, and what does the Church of God actually believe? Just in case people are interested.
Well, we believe in the whole Bible rightly divided. The New Testament is the rule of government discipline. I mean, we are a Spirit-filled church. We believe in the gifts of the Spirit. We believe in divine healing, speaking in tongues, interpretation of tongues, and laying on of hands. We believe that Jesus is the way, the truth, the life, the only way, and the God of salvation. So we are the Church of God is a Pentecostal holiness church. But we're not a United Pentecostal church. We're not. And of course, the church through the years, and I see it, and I have dear friends in some of the other movements as well. And as a whole, there was a day and time where it was a list of don'ts, and praise the Lord, we've moved on and moved past those things. And we're a church, we believe in the fullness of the gospel, and of the Lord, just allowing the Lord to move and use us as how He so desires.
That's great. How does this particular church? How do you interact with your community? Do you have any ministries that reach forth, or?
Yeah, one of our biggest thrusts that we have actually throughout the year, on an ongoing basis, this church does an excellent job of reaching out people. And having meetings and stuff over the years, and talking with previous members of the church and people who grew up in the Dudley community, they said, what's been interesting about this church is over the years, it seems to have been the church that's always been able to minister to young people. The majority of the churches around, I guess all of the churches here in the area, even just from my current observation, they're older crowds. But we've been blessed. We're our church. I mean, it's nothing on especially on a Wednesday night. It's nothing for us to have 30 plus kids running around. You know, we have ladies every week that come in. They get here early and they prepare a full spread. I mean, they prepare a big old meal, and you know, just for anybody who wants to come free of charge. And, you know, so we're really able to minister that way, and again, doing an excellent job ministering to the next generation. And then, of course, the majority of people in the community in the area, especially if they go to the Stoddard County Fair, know us, you know, for cooking down there at the fair. This past year, I believe, was the 20 or 21st year that the other Church of God has been part of the Stoddard County Fair. And you know, the majority of people in town is, you know, trying to describe the church. And they said, and I said, well, have you been to the fair? And they said, yeah. And I said, well, we're the ones that do the blooming onion. And they're like, oh yeah, we know who you are. And but you know, this year, just because of expense and just to make things, I believe in the concept work smarter, not harder. and you know, we had to put the blooming onion to rest.
Oh,
but you know, we were still, and even with the rain out we had this year, we were still blessed. But I mean, that's the majority of people, they will know us, you know, from
right.
that.
I did try to get to the fair every year to get a blooming onion. I missed it this year, but okay. Now, for those who are, a lot of people in this area, of course, know how to get here. You're kind of a straight shot through Dudley. But how would people find your church if they were looking for it?
Well, if you know where Dudley is, you can't miss it. You know, you just get off the Dudley exit and turn south. And as soon as you come across the railroad tracks, we're the white church on the right-hand side of the road. I mean, again, can't miss it.
And I know the trains. You got to look out for the trains. While I was sitting here waiting for you, 3 trains went by. Okay. And what are your service times?
Okay, so on Sunday mornings we have Sunday school. Starts at 10 o'clock. Sunday morning worship at 11. Sunday evening we start at 6 o'clock. And on Wednesday night we start at 7. But if you want to get here and eat, you better get here at 6.
Okay, that's fantastic. And do you have a interaction on like Facebook, or do you have an internet site? Or?
We do have a Facebook page. Just the Other Church of God there on Facebook.
Okay. And do you have a internet access? Does the church itself have a website?
There's a domain out there, but it's not. There's nothing active as of yet.
Okay. But they can't. You do go live on Facebook?
Every once in a while we do go live on Facebook. A lot of we don't stream. A lot of times services will be uploaded afterwards, and like right now on Wednesday nights with a particular group here at the church, I'm doing a teaching on leadership, and all of those sessions are currently being uploaded on.
Okay,
on
so
Wednesday
people
night.
can watch them on Facebook as they are up.
Yes.
Okay. Now, to get back to more of the personal, what advice would you give to other young men or young ladies but want to be ministers?
Oh, that's a loaded question. First of all, make sure you're called of God and not by somebody else. Statistics show us today that the amount of people that are leaving ministry on a daily basis is heartbreaking. And if unless you know you're called of God, don't take that leap. Don't take somebody else's word. Make sure you hear the word of the Lord. But from a practical standpoint, in ministry and of course in life, financial security is something that we need to make sure that we're aware of, and not so much from a worldly perspective, but even from a biblical perspective. In 2019, the Lord just kind of spoke to me prior to the end of last year. He said, 2019, I want to challenge your church to get out of debt. So one of the big thrusts that we're pushing right now for the church and on a church-wide basis is because to get the church out of debt, and with that is going to come some classes and some practical teaching on finances and just really how we personally don't need to be in debt, because when you're in debt, you know, the Word says that we are a slave to the lender, and you know, so as far as somebody coming to ministry, make sure you get your finances straight and in order. Figure out ways to have additional income streams, and one of the greatest pieces of advice I've heard. I was in a leadership conference not too long ago, and it comes from Stephen Covey's book 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Is to begin with the end in mind. A lot of people just jump in and they're excited, you know, but what is the end goal? What is the end goal? We all know as Christians, our end goal is heaven, but you know, also too practically we have to have some end goals in mind. You know, retirement. You know, what are we looking forward to? So we begin to prepare for those things, right?
Okay. And what is next for the church aside from, like I said, getting out of debt? What is next for the church? Do you plan on expanding, or do you plan on? I know there was some land bought a few years ago that was done, but you're going to expand the church on. But I don't know what's going on.
Right. Well, several years ago, prior to me coming here, the church was actually donated 10 acres at the corner of 60 and WW. So I mean, great location, great visibility. And the plan was, the desire of the church was to always to build a new building. The building that we're in is actually the oldest building in Dudley. I've actually had people come. I actually had a gentleman come by one day. I was up here working at the church, and a gentleman come by, and he knocked on the door, and he introduced himself, and he said, "Yeah, I just wanted to come in and see the building." And I was kind of okay, and then he began to tell the story. And in the 1940s, he was a little boy. And him and his family had moved to this area during World War II, and he began to talk about the lady that lived here, that lived in the back part of the building, and how the front was a general store, and went on. And I've also heard stories that this building is now church. Actually used to have a second story on it, and there was apartment buildings on the top. And I've heard that at around 1900, the top level was taken off. So, but yeah, this is the oldest building in Dudley, and there's great things with old buildings, but old buildings also give you problems. But aside from that, as we continue to grow, and we continue to just not only as a church but grow the kingdom, as we continue to grow numerically and grow in size, the long-term plan is to first of all, we want to get out of debt here, obviously, and then the eventual goal is to have a building out on the property, and we may start with something, and we may even start with like a multi-purpose building or something first, to be able to utilize for multiple things until we're able to actually make a.
Okay. And what about ministries? Are you planning on expanding into other ministries, or?
Well, I currently right now, I know we're a small church. Big churches have big churches have the exact same problem as far as staffing and having people. So we're, as far as what we're doing now, we're maxed out as far as what we can do with our people without burning them out and stretching them any further. I mean, I tell people, let's find something we do. Let's find something we do and do it well. Let's not try and do everything.
Right.
Because when you begin to stretch yourself thin and you begin to do too many things, then other things begin to suffer. So we want to, for the purpose of operating in excellence, we want to keep it simple.
Right.
And that way our focus can be on what we're supposed to be doing and what the Lord is wanting us to do. But we are looking for people. Actually, my wife getting ready to have a child here in a few months. We're looking hopefully for maybe somebody to step in as a children's pastor. Would love to have somebody come on board as a youth pastor or something. So there's those opportunities and those things that we're looking for, and if we could get the right team in place. I mean, just because of our location, I know we're not in a largely populated area,
right.
But we're within reach of a lot of areas. And I tell people all the time, man, really here the sky is the limit. focused on, in particular, one area. You know, we can reach to Dexter, we can reach to Fisk, we can reach to Plexico, we can, you know, reach these kids out in rural areas, and it really become a hub for you become a hub for people in the area.
Do you have a bus ministry?
We do have a van, we have a church van, and we do run that. And so we typically just once again it's because of people, availability, staffing, so to speak. You know, that we typically only run that on Wednesdays. But you know, people that do need a ride can get a hold of us through Facebook, and if they would need a ride, we can pick them up.
Okay. And at least my next question: do you have a phone number or some contact information if they want to get a hold of you or the church? How do they get a hold of you?
Really, the best way is through Facebook. Just contact us through Facebook, and you know, send us a message on Facebook, and somebody will get back with you.
Okay. Well, it was nice speaking with you, Mr. Hester, Pastor Hester, and we sure I'll get this up as soon as I can, and you have a blessed. Like what you see. Like us on Facebook. Or subscribe to us on YouTube.com. Either way, you're greatly appreciated. Thank you, and God bless.